Hey guys, George here, and before we get into this week's episode, John and I would just like to take a moment to express our most heartfelt condolences to House of Glory and the friends and family of Matt Travis.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Chikara Action Arcade Wrestling, the fast-paced, high-flying arcade wrestling extravaganza. Here comes a high-risk maneuver from the top rope. Get into the action by lacing up your boots inside the Wrestle Factory. Simple two-button control. We've crowned a new Grand Champion. Are you brave enough to step through the ropes and lay claim to the title?
And now, introducing the hottest new tag team in podcasting, George Feast, Johnny Clash, the Game Mars.
Welcome to episode number 13 of the Game Marks podcast. My name is George Feast, and I, as always, am here with my tag team partner, independent wrestler, Johnny Clash.
Hiya, Georgie.
What's up, man? How are you?
You know, you told me to change my intro, so.
Well, yeah, you can't just go A every time. It doesn't, it loses its pizzazz.
I'm like the Fonz.
Yeah. Each week on this podcast, we break down the good, the bad, and the awesome of wrestling video games and offer up our rating of Play It Forever or Future Endeavor. This week on the podcast, we are playing Chikara Action Arcade Wrestling. But before we get into that, my good friend, how are you? How has your week been?
My week, it's been a week. As you could tell by I'm sitting here drinking a drink.
A little sneak peek if you haven't seen it yet. We posted a little video up to our YouTube channel of Mr. Clash doing a little unboxing video. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So I bought Steel Cage Challenge, the plug and play arcade game from someone in the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast Patreon group.
That means that group is not just about wrestling figures now.
I always try to slip our stuff in there, so. But I haven't really, I haven't played it yet, so I wanted to do a little unboxing and show our lucky YouTube subscribers what it looks like, which, to be honest, I have it in front of me right now. You hear that? The joystick's pretty smooth, the buttons are smooth, it's pretty light.
It's pretty good.
The only thing I don't like about this thing is it takes batteries.
Oh.
3 batteries, not even 4, not 2. OCD is going nuts with that, but 3 batteries.
But you know what? It's a future episode that we'll get to play. Maybe a bonus episode. We haven't decided. But you know what? It was a good opportunity to do something for the benefit of the pod.
Yeah, I figured I would give a little teaser, show everyone what it looks like. The thing is, it's not expensive. This thing was only $10. So if you're looking to, have something you want to play quickly, unfortunately, it's only one joystick, so you could probably only play by yourself. I'm not sure if there's a way to link them up, but I don't think so. But $10, I mean, Come on. No brainer.
Yeah, that's an easy buy.
So what about you? How's your week going?
It's good. It's no purchases for the pod, but you and I talking about some things that we want to change, and maybe we'll change the trajectory of the podcast for the future to come, which is kind of exciting. Some big things going on here at Camp GMP, but we'll get into that a little bit more later. But no big purchases, nothing crazy happening on my end, but just regular week. How about that Nacho Libre though? Let's get into a little follow up from last week about Nacho Libre.
All right, so I gave the game and I gave the movie a future endeavor.
You still sticking with it? A week later,
See,
you
I
had
think
some
I was
time
a little
to
harsh.
marinate it. Okay. On what though?
All right,
on the movie or the game?
On both. I'm not gonna change my rating, but I was thinking about it. 90% of the time I turn on my TV, that movie Where the Millers is on.
Okay.
And I'm always like, oh, again? But I always sit there watching it. And then I was thinking, if Nacho Libre is on my TV, someone pops it in, someone puts it on, am I really going to turn away? No, I'm going to sit there. I'm going to laugh at the farts. I'm going to laugh at Nacho.
You're going to laugh at all the farts. You're going to tell people to get that corn out of my face.
Exactly.
It's a good time.
So to change my rating, I'm not going to go out of my way to put it on, but I would watch it again, if that makes sense.
I feel like we need like a neutral.
Ooh, like, so you want to throw a wrench in our whole system.
I feel like it can't be something that we do often. It's got to be a rare, like.
Well, this was the movie. When it comes to the game, I'm sticking with Future Endeavor.
Yeah.
However,
I'm not changing at all, for the record.
Okay. But however, I was a little contradictory because I said the ratings are very harsh for the game, and then I was a little harsh. So,
and then that's why we're here, though. That's like the whole point of the pod, is so that we can offer up our unbiased opinion. We mentioned a couple episodes ago that there were some incidences in the past where people have bought ratings, and maybe this was one of those games. So we're here to offer up a complete and total unbiased opinion, and I think that you should stand by it. If you didn't like the game, or there were aspects of the game that weren't going to make it something that you went back and played, I think you should, there's nothing wrong with it. The movie, though, you're just wrong.
So you like the movie?
I like the movie. I thought it was funny, and we get so very few wrestling movies that I feel like the ones that we do get, we should enjoy and treasure them.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, they're not all going to be The Wrestler. You only get that once, every couple of decades. A movie that it doesn't paint wrestling in a great light, but very rarely do you get such a profound movie that is based around wrestling. So I'll take The Wrestler, I'll take Nacho Libre for what it is, and I'll just enjoy that.
Yeah. Actually, if we've got a wrestler game, that would be pretty cool. Mickey Rourke taking on Ernest the Cat Miller.
Yeah.
In a Ring of Honor ring.
I feel like that's it's got to be almost like the Last of Us kind of story, where you only can play as Mickey Rourke through a story mode. There's no multiplayer. It's just
you run into Virgil on the way, and you both see who sold the most 8x10s.
And then you lie and say that you sold out WrestleMania.
Yeah,
it's great.
Anyway, how about some gaming news, Georgie?
Alrighty, so we talked last week about some patch notes, and we got a little bit more information on those. So you want to run through them?
Yeah. So WWE 2K20 patch 1.02 is now live on the Xbox, the PS4, and the PC. So most of the issues are taken care of. Not all of them. I'm still seeing people complain about certain things, but of course they're gonna. So some of the things that were reported that they fixed were gameplay and controls, graphics and clipping, hair physics, hit detection and aiming, interactions with tables, ladders, steel steps, and other objects. Oh my. Referee actions, as we've seen the video of the referee spazzing inside of the figure 8.
That's a very good description. That's way better than I would have done. Way to go.
On-screen button prompts. Characters warping or moving unnaturally around the arena. I just think of I don't know, The Fiend or Jeff Hardy just creepily walking around the arena.
Did you see the King of Swing GIF that was going around?
Yeah,
that was insane.
Crashes and freezing, image downloads, entrance and attires, universe mode, editing and saving, custom and created superstars and creation modes, commentary and sound effects, online stability, matchmaking, desyncs, and lag. So that is 1.02. I'm assuming another patch is going to come out soon once all of the other issues are fixed, I hope.
And I'm just kind of hoping that with each DLC pack that it doesn't present newer issues. I think that's the fear I have now, is that it's great that they make this, that they were able to fix a lot of the issues. Because listen, guys, no game is perfect. I think we've mentioned it once or twice on the podcast.
Except TNA Impact.
We haven't brought that up in a while. What's the refresh my memory? What's the hashtag for that?
Clash loves dicks. E. Carter.
Oh, I thought it was by E. Carter.
No.
But so the big video that was going around when the game first came out was the Bianca Belair hair fiasco, where her hair was struck in with a very rare case of rigor mortis. And the first patch that they released, the first video, or one of the first videos I saw, was a normal hair animation, and it actually looked pretty good. And I was like, wow, if only this was the launch day look, we could have avoided so much.
Yeah, but that was one of the videos that I think turned a lot of people off, and it ended up actually looking pretty good in the end.
Yeah, well, the other problem that I had with this game, and it could have just been the screenshots, because you don't really see it so much in the gameplay, but even then, like, your screenshots should be a proper representation of what the game's supposed to be, but
yeah, absolutely.
Everyone looked cross-eyed. Was it just me?
Everyone looked cross-eyed. It was weird.
It was insane, but like the rest of their faces looked normal. So like John Cena looked like John Cena, but just a cross-eyed hair. John, like for some reason. No, it's dad hair, John Cena.
I'm so glad he's over it. So we just have to say we haven't touched really on our experiences with the game yet, but we are playing. We have a schedule and a plan, and we will give you guys our feedback and our game experiences very, very, very soon.
Oh yeah, it's on the list. We have a list, and it's going. We're getting there.
It's one of the things we're actually organized in.
Yeah. So what do you say? Is it time for us to get into the question of the week, my friend?
I think so. And why don't you tell us what the question of the week is sponsored by this week?
Question of the week this week is sponsored by Galvanized Grips. Galvanized Grips sells customized controller grips, skins, and other cool items to enhance your gaming experience. Their grips fit on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One controllers and come in a variety of different colors and patterns to match your gaming style. Check out their shop at galvanizedgrips.com and use code GameMarks at checkout to receive 10% off. That is galvanizedgrips.com and use code GameMarks at checkout.
And like we said last week, we bought these. We actually bought a 2-pack. We bought blue and we bought orange because we're both stupid Islander fans, and when we split it, so we each got a blue and an orange. And
is that like the lamest thing in the world?
We're pretty lame. But I mean, it literally fixed 2 of my controllers that had the stick peeling back.
I have a PlayStation 3 controller that greatly benefited from the galvanized grips, and I'm probably going to end up getting them for my PlayStation 4 because it's suffering from the same issue.
And like we said, they are cheap. I think a pack is only $2, and then you could use our discount code GameMarks and take another 10% off.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. Save yourself some money.
So, what's your question for me?
My question this week is, when we were kids, growing up, 90s, early 2000s, the height of, the PlayStation, N64, like war, there were a lot of different genres of games that maybe are not as prevalent in the gaming market these days. And a lot of those revolved around like extreme sports. So like all like the snowboarding and like Tony Hawk style games. Do you think that those games will ever make a comeback? And that we'll ever see some kind of crossover? So like in the old N64 games or in the old PlayStation games, they had like you could play as like Wolverine or Spider-Man.
That was the coolest.
Yeah, those are awesome because
like in
you
Tony
got
Hawk 2 when you would whip the board back with the web.
Yeah. So my question too is, do you think that games like that will ever make a resurgence? And if so, do you think that there'll be crossovers with, like mainstream media?
I think that would be cool. I think a Tony Hawk came out about a year or two ago, right?
It did, but it was really buggy and really glitchy and was not received well. And
so
a lot of people said that was kind of the nail in the coffin for that genre. But I was a big fan of those. I mean, we've mentioned it once or twice on the podcast. I know we talked a lot about it off the podcast, but we were both pretty big fans of the Tony Hawk series.
Yeah, we talked about it last week too.
1080 snowboarding as a kid on the N64.
Cool Borders?
Cool Borders,
Oh, yeah.
SSX.
Razor Scooter? Extreme Razor Scooter?
That's a bonus episode. That's twice we brought that game up. That's got to be a bonus episode.
No, but to answer your question, I don't see why not. I think there's a certain standard in games now where they have to be like super realistic. There's got to be hours and hours of gameplay. I think we always go back to nostalgia goggles, and I think that's what those games you mentioned have. So I would. Well,
I don't know. I was playing those Tony Hawk games a couple weeks ago, and some of them hold up. Like the first Tony Hawk, the graphics are horrible by today's standards, but the soundtrack's great. The gameplay itself is pretty solid, and they just kind of improved over the years. So I mean, it's give and take.
I think there was a certain standard. People like thinking they're in the game now, and that sounds weird, but you have Be a Pro mode in NHL, you have quarterback mode in Madden, you have Create a Wrestler in all the wrestling games. You could pretty much make your exact clone of yourself in NBA 2K right now. I think the bar was raised with the first Skate game for...
Oh, don't even get me started on Skate.
So if you want another kind of Tony Hawk game, that's going to be directed towards kids, I think, and the people who want to relive that nostalgia. So, I mean, like I said, I didn't even know there was a new one. I kind of knew, like, in the back of my head, oh yeah, they made a new Tony Hawk. I never played it. I think games like that come out on, like, the Switch and, like, kind of stuff that people don't play as much as they play on, like, Xbox and PlayStation. I could just be biased because I'm a PlayStation guy, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. However, if we want to go back to wrestling games, we saw the Terminator a couple years ago in 2K16. We see now Death Stranding came out with Norman Reedus.
Yeah.
I think that's the level we're at now, where you could actually take a celebrity and you put them in the game.
I mean, Batista in Gears of War.
Right. He's not that big of a part, but this whole game, Death Stranding, is Norman Reedus.
Yeah.
So,
and this whole thing spawned from a canceled game, too. Did you know that?
I did not, but I will be buying it.
Yeah, so this whole thing comes from a canceled Silent Hill game that Hideo Kojima and Norman Reedus were supposed to be like the main parts of, and then it got canceled. So Kojima's made Death Stranding instead.
It looks freaky, and
the story looks confusing just from the trailers, but
I feel like I'm gonna cry.
Holy crap, does this game look beautiful?
It's probably going to be up there with The Last of Us.
Yeah. Just a brand new IP that will set standards for games for years to come. That's the kind of games that we need. Like, I feel like once every couple of years you get that one big game that kind of sets the standard of like, hey, this is what we're capable of doing now on these platforms. This is what we should be striving for, and I think that Death Stranded may be that new benchmark.
Absolutely. And I think from here we're just going to keep going up with like the quality of games. They're pretty much hours worth of movies that you play. Yeah. Anyway, we got way off tangent there, but
you know what? That's I feel like we've done this a couple of times, and I think that that's okay because the question is supposed to spark a conversation. And I feel like in the beginning, when we first started doing this was just like here's the question, here's your answer, we move on. But as time's gone on, we've gotten, it's a little more of an elaborate conversation.
Anyway, is it time?
I believe it is time.
Is it time?
For us to... It's
time.
Hater time. It's time for us to do the hashtag deep dive. But before we get into that, John, why don't you tell us who the deep dive is sponsored by this week?
The hashtag Deep Dive is sponsored by Chikara Pro Wrestling. December 20th, Chikara Pro Wrestling returns to Hicksville, New York, featuring the Chikara Pro Champion VSK, the Cap TV Champion Chris Statlander, Eric James, Alex Reynolds, Jack Tomlinson, and of course, yours truly, one half of the Tag Team Champions. All of this and so much more, so don't miss out. Tickets are flying fast, so head over to CreativeProWrestling.com and get yours today.
Friend of the show, Chris Statlander, your Cap TV champion. And I guess you're a Cap champion as well, right? We should probably mention that too.
Yeah, I guess me and Spite, we're Cap.
You guys are okay, I guess.
I guess the tag titles count for something.
It'd be fun. One day, you three did an episode, and I was just there.
We could do that. That could be a bonus episode. Just crack open
it's
some
just
beers.
You guys hanging out, talking about why you guys are the best tag team in Creative Pro Wrestling.
That's pretty much every Wednesday night.
Yeah, I know. I have to listen about it all the time. That'd be a fun little bonus episode. But oh man, I don't wanna give too much away. But we finally locked down what the bonus episode's gonna be, and we ironed out all the little itsy bitsy details. And it's gonna be a good one.
And we're pretty close. We're about 30-ish followers away right now.
Wow, that's really close. So, may have to do with some future friends of the show, maybe some already existing friends of the show that we may have talked about once or twice before. Who knows? You guys will have to wait and find out. But when we hit 200 followers on our Twitter page, you will get that bonus content. And man, is it going to be a doozy. But we are here now to talk about this week's game, Chikara Action Arcade Wrestling. So let me tell you a little bit about Chikara. So Chikara is an independent wrestling promotion based in Philly. The name and the logo for Chikara comes from the Japanese kanji symbol meaning strength. Now, they've been around since 2002, and it was started by two guys. Maybe you heard of them. They go by the name of Mike Quackenbush and Reckless Youth. They also happen to be the trainers, and they perform in the ring and wrestle in Chikara. So this game was developed by Vico Game Studios, VICO, I don't know, it's one or the other, and it was published by Reverb, Triple XP. Now this game has a great backstory because it was actually Indiegogo funded.
Yeah, their goal was actually $25,000, and with 423 backers, they reached 103% of their goal with $25,846.
I guess you could say there was just like a little bit of a demand for this game. What do you think?
A little bit. And I believe this was first announced in 2015. So this goes back to like 3 or 4 years ago. They started just talking about this game with the Indiegogo. They said, 40% was going to go to programming and development, 20% to the creation suite development, 20% to online research, development, servers, all that, 10% to the 3D asset creation, and 10% to the design and the user interface.
So the developers of this game, David Horn and Eugene Chukrov. David is the original creator of the Action Arcade Wrestling series, and his past works include Action Arcade Wrestling for the Xbox 360, Action Arcade Wrestling 2 for the Xbox 360, and Tappy Golf for the iOS and Android. And Eugene Chukrov, who is the producer and lead developer, has nearly a decade of AAA development experience. He's worked on games like Call of Duty, The CryEngine, Action Arcade Wrestling 2, Vico Dynamics, and Sculpture VR.
Yeah, just a few little names like Call of Duty.
Maybe you've heard of Call of Duty. It's a very, very indie title. It's very, very rare.
Pretty new.
It's only been around for, 2 decades.
Yeah, they kind of follow the format of that Medal of Honor game.
Yeah.
God, I'm going to get torched for saying that.
Splash in the pan. They'll be gone in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Now, so this game is available currently on Steam and only on Steam, but it will be coming to the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. We actually mentioned the day that this game was released. We were recording the day that it was released. So it was released last month, October 15th, 2019. Doesn't get any fresher than this.
Doesn't get any fresher. We could not wait to get our hands on this game, and oh boy, we played a few games.
I gotta just say, the creative suite in this game,
it's pretty sweet. Get it?
All right, that does it for us this week in the Game Marks podcast.
Johnny, say something stupid. You already did.
You already did.
So you want me to take you through the roster that's included?
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay.
Because the potential that you can have is...
Yeah, so I want to get the base roster down before we go into all of that. So your roster: Cajun Crawdad, Cornelius Crummels, Dasher Hatfield, Fire Ant, Frightmare, Hollow Wicked, Hermit Crab, Quijo del Ice Cream, Icarus, Ice Cream Jr., Juan Francisco de Coronado, Cobalt, Lucas Calhoun, Mike Quackenbush, Mr. Touchdown, Oceana, Officer Warren Barksdale, Oleg the Usurper, Ophidian, Razorhawk, Solo Darling, Sonny DeFarge, Travis Huckabee, and Whisper. So that's the already in-game roster that you get upon downloading, which is pretty big. And that's all of the stars of Chikara. And I think what appeals to people about Chikara, it's the wrestlers you know, but they're using different names, different gimmicks. They could be more... It's almost cartoony and comic booky. It's very outlandish, but...
You know, we kind of brushed over this because we got a little sidetracked with the Call of Duty thing, but the size of this roster and the quality of this game... Can we just go back, take a little rewind for a second? How many developers were on this game? You just remind me?
1, 2, 2.
Two, yeah. So just let that sink in. That 2 people made a roster of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 2 people. A fully finished, polished game. 24 wrestlers.
Well, actually, there's over 30. There's just more unlockables we didn't get to.
Yeah, but that makes it even more impressive. But could we just acknowledge how insane that is? That this is a game that's available on Steam and PlayStation and Xbox, and it was made by 2 people? Granted, these people have a lot of gaming between the 2 of them, but it's still insanely impressive.
Yeah, so let's get into some of the features because it's about to get a little more impressive with what actually went into this game and what came out of it, with being just a side-scrolling WrestleMania in your house type game.
So why don't we do this a little differently? So normally one of us just kind of goes through the features. We can go a little back and forth here.
Yeah.
And have a little chat about these features and talk about our actual feelings. So we already touched on the fact that this game has over 30 wrestlers. But I think the thing that was really cool about this game, I don't know how you felt, but the controls. It's 2 buttons. That's it. It's 2 buttons, your D-pad, and that's really it.
It didn't feel like 2 buttons because the combos between the buttons and the arrows actually did so much.
It's great.
There's nothing more you really needed.
I'm trying to think of what we could compare it to. Like, it almost kind of feels like, I'm pretty sure this is what they were going for, but it feels a lot like those old AKI THQ games in terms of like how simple the controls are.
Yeah, weak grapple, strong grapple, weak strike, strong strike,
dash strike,
yeah,
off the top rope,
super easy, but
ring.
Yeah, fun.
You don't need complicated controls to make a good game. You just need a strong concept and, you know, some appealing visuals, and that's the making of a good game.
Yeah, and up to 10 players can jump into an online match at a time.
Now, we didn't get to try that because
we don't know 10 people.
We don't know 10 people that have this game.
Or 10 people at all.
I think we know 10 people between the 2 of us.
10 people that like us.
You're a trainer at CAP.
Exactly.
You know at least
no
10
one
people.
likes me. We didn't get to try this, but this is a pretty sweet feature because you never see more than, I don't know, 6 people, maybe 8 people.
Yeah,
I lost track about what they actually put in like a Royal Rumble, say, in a video game these days. But it used to be 4, then it went up to 6, then it was 8.
Well, that'll be something that we have to cover in our 2K20 episode.
Yep.
So right now, the game only has, we'll say, 7 or 8 game modes. You have your one-on-one, your tag team, your triple threat, your 4-way, your 4-to-10 elimination match, which we talked about already, your tornado tag, your battle royal, your King of Trios tournament, and there's more planned to be released and coming out later.
Yeah, when they first planned this game, like on the Indiegogo page, it says there is a cage match. So I'm assuming
it's got to be coming.
It's got to be coming, or they didn't put it in there for certain reasons. It also has Infinite Gauntlet on there. Not Infinity Gauntlet. Infinite Gauntlet.
So that just would mean that you just wrestle.
It just never ends.
Interesting. Yeah. That'd be a fun bonus episode. How far can you get in the Infinite Gauntlet? I keep wanting to say Infinity Gauntlet. I know, I was going to say, but I know that's not right. How far? Well, maybe we'll do the Infinite Gauntlet with a Thanos-created wrestler.
Yeah. We'll have a Doctor Strange on the side, just in case.
There you go. The graphics on this game, they're not bad. They're not great. That they work. Like, it's like aesthetically pleasing to look at the game, and like you don't think about it as. It almost feels like you're wrestling with action figures, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it was a little cartoony, but where it had to be, it was 3D. Like you could tell the ring is 3-dimensional. You could tell like the weapons are 3D, but the characters themselves are very cartoon animated.
It's almost like if you were wrestling with Bendums.
Yeah. And I noticed that some of the sound effects, a lot of sound effects actually, sounded very much like WrestleMania and In Your House. The certain, wow, the certain like whammy effects and all that.
Yeah, and there's the soundtrack that plays during the match has a very No Mercy, NWO, WCW Revenge kind of.
Yeah. Very 8-bit, like, but not annoying. Not Nacho Libre annoying.
It gets... Wow. Really? Just got crap all over my games?
You were the one that said about the sound.
Yeah, I know. The sound was bad.
And speaking of the graphics and how this game is presented, there are over 700 handcrafted animations involved in this game. Which is nuts, because we touched on the customization and the creative suite before. We played a game where you were Darth Vader, and rather than give him someone random's moveset, maybe give him a choke slam. No, you shoot the guy up in the air and you start zapping him with like lasers from your hand.
Yeah, yeah. And you hold a lightsaber the whole time.
Yeah, they really spared no expense making the animations in this game top notch.
Yeah, I think that was probably the best. My favorite part was just how over the top some of these animations are. There's a finisher where you literally shoot a laser beam out of your chest. They have a Kamehameha. Like, it's everything.
Is that a freaking laser beam?
All I wanted was sharks with freaking laser beams attached to their heads.
Cool. So, George, why don't you take us through the Wrestle Factory Creation Suite, which is not in the game, but it's an external app you can put on Steam. Because some of these characters that are created, like Seth Rollins, Kane, Undertaker, they are identical. They're perfect.
If you gave me one word to describe this creative suite, the only thing that comes to mind is a lot. There's so much that you can do here.
Is it too much, or is it good? Like a good a lot?
It walks that line.
Okay.
Because I've never seen a game where you're able to put in a hex code for a color, which means that if you ever visit a website, the color of the font on that website is assigned to a hex code. 6 digits that correspond to a color. The color then is presented. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Whatever. It's 6 digits that are assigned to a color. And you can actually input those 6 digits and have your exact custom color for your wrestler. So if you're making, I don't know, let's say the Raw is War arena, and you're making the throwback to, early 90s. You can go in, find that hex code, and use the exact same red that they use for the Raw is War logo. It's nuts. I've never seen it in a game. Have you?
No, that's pretty cool, because usually you have to move the slider, try to find something close, but no, being graphic designers, we absolutely love that. Because there's nothing more I want than like looking at the eyedropper tool and, getting an exact color of something.
Exactly. There's just a certain extra level of customization that some people will love and some people will hate. You can also upload any kind of logo or design, tattoos, anything. It's all the same way that you would in any other major AAA game. You can upload directly to a server and put it onto your wrestler almost immediately.
I guess Johnny Clash and George Feast are coming soon with GMP Man.
Maybe we'll do a GMP Man, because I am actually not a wrestler, but I will be
even
represented by the GMP Man.
All right.
Yeah, just me and my Johnny Clash sweatshirt.
If I had sweatshirts.
All right, and now it's time for us to talk about something very, very special. We had briefly mentioned it earlier in the episode, but we're doing kind of something special this holiday season, wouldn't you say, John?
Yeah, we've decided to partner with some incredible hospitals and charities to make a holiday gaming experience for some brave children.
There'll be a little bit of extra details coming out later on this week, so keep an eye out for that. But pretty much, we're doing like a little holiday fundraiser for some really amazing kids that just need a little bit of extra.
Need to pick me up.
Yeah, they need a little bit extra holiday spirit, and we figured that, we should get involved and try to make a couple kids' day.
I think the best thing growing up, running down the stairs on Christmas morning, was looking for that rectangle-shaped box that you knew was the game you asked for.
Find the console that you've been waiting for and looking forward to all year wrapped under the tree.
We're calling this Gamebury, like Slambury, Gamebury 2019.
And, we're naming it 2019 because this is something that we plan to do every year for the life of the podcast.
And we want to grow this every year.
Make it bigger, make it better. And the stuff that we've got planned for this year is pretty amazing.
Yeah, we're coming out swinging, and we're going to have to try to top this next year.
Yeah, so the way that this will work is that every time that someone donates, you're entered into the giveaways that we have. And we'll also be having unlockable tiers. So for $50 all the way up to $5,000, every time we hit $50, you guys unlock a new thing, whether that's a giveaway or some special bonus content. So we have things planned, like we said, for as low as $50 all the way up to $5,000. And that $5,000 reward unlockable, whatever you want to call it, is
I'm kind of excited for that one. I hope we hit it.
Yeah, I the more I think about it, the more I kind of want to do it.
We're not saying you guys have to donate $50. We'll take $1. We'll take $2. But this is kind of like how we'll track it. So once, as a whole, everyone hits $50, a new tier will unlock. $100, a new tier. $150. So as we raise money, we give the free content. And don't worry, we'll have a chart. We'll have all the rules specified on our website this week.
So what do you say? You think it's time for us to get into our weekly tournament that we do here?
I think so. I think it's time to reveal Clash at the Feast, because it's been a while. This week we didn't have a vote because it's the Chikara Pro Roster. We felt like we needed to explore it a little bit. There's a ton of creative. We kind of just picked whoever. George picked Undertaker. I picked Kane, who are not in the game.
If you're going to play a Chikara game, why not pick the Brothers of Destruction?
Exactly. Playing this... Alright, first of all, I want to say, playing this on Steam, I did not have a joystick or a controller. I was using my keyboard. Let's just get that out there first.
How did it feel, though?
It was strangely okay because it is 2 buttons and it was 2 buttons and the arrows. But I felt myself like when I was going into different moves and combos, my fingers were drifting without realizing. I was kind of pressing the wrong key. That's just the stupid way a Mac keyboard is laid out. So the first game, I think I held my own. Second game, we were a little back and forth, but then, we got to Kane and the Undertaker. What happened?
I mean, it was a pretty good back and forth for the other matches. And we did like you said, it was very competitive. There were some weapons being used. And then for some reason, you just kind of fell apart in the Kane and the Undertaker match. And
I would rest in peace.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't wanna say, you know what? Let's do this. I'm going to say that this was a little unfair because you were on the keyboard. Maybe we'll do Chikara round 2. We'll wait till there's more content coming out with the game. We'll see when they introduce the steel cage match. There was talks of them doing like a flaming table and stuff like that. So we'll see the content that they put out. But
so we're making this one a wash?
Well, no.
Oh, okay. So you're still gonna win.
I'm still taking the victory this week. So you can do that thing. Oh, I've never been able to say this before. So I'm gonna take a little line out of your book. Play my music.
Oof.
So yeah, I will say that I won this week. I'll get a check in the column because we played. There's no reason to not count that. But as new content comes out, as they continue to release, because that's the plan, is to release much more content for the game. We'll come back and we'll
do it again. We'll run it back.
There's nothing wrong with that, I don't think.
Oh, that's fine. All right, so also we mentioned that we used weapons in the matches. There are a few crazy weapons in here. There's a few normal wrestling weapons, but then there's some that are just way out there. George, you want to take us through them?
Yeah, sure. So you have a chair, which is pretty standard. You have a bat, it's also pretty standard. Barbed wire bat. And then this is kind of where things start to get a little crazy. An axe, a broadsword, a candy cane, a guitar, a katana, a light tube, a blue sword, a green sword, a purple sword, a red sword, and a yellow sword. A sledgehammer, a table, a trash can, and probably the strangest weapon, an inflatable bat.
Well, yeah, why not?
Like an inflatable bat.
Sometimes you don't want to hurt someone too bad. A bat can kill you,
An inflatable bat?
Isn't that right?
It's showtime!
Wow.
George got nothing.
Wow. I wish I still had my Titantron. I'd make my Titantron figures talk.
Oh, God. So, you want to go through some of the reviews for this?
I mean, the game's only been out for a couple of weeks, so...
Yeah, exactly.
There's not going to be a ton of them, but what we've got is what we've got. So this was a Steam community. Obviously. The game's got 4 stars on Steam.
This game hasn't been out so long, so a lot of the major outlets haven't reviewed it yet. And in the Steam community, there are now 35 reviews, and 85% of those are positive. Yeah, so let's go through just a few of them. So, Ever So British says, I just made a bottle of orange Faygo wrestle a number 2 pencil. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
I mean, it's true.
You can
we downloaded the number 2 pencil.
You can wrestle as a number 2 pencil somehow.
It's very hard to wrestle because there's no limbs, but you could do it. So DJ Grind 1983 said, "This game is absolutely amazing and gets better with every update. The devs are very active when it comes to this title. This game is like WrestleMania meets No Mercy with Chikara ridiculousness sprinkled on top. I love it."
And this guy's got
And you know
9.5 hours playing time of the game.
But you know what? I kind of agree with him.
I agree. And then we got an anonymous, rated it positive with 8.3 hours of gameplay on record, saying, "Great and fresh wrestling game. Great job, devs."
And then we got another anonymous review from someone who is apparently a Kickstarter backer who is hyped for this game. They hope for some good cartoony fun. They can't comment on how it plays because the game freezes after about a minute of runtime. After trying and failing to get past 3 of the tutorials without a crash, I booted it up and figured I'd just learn as I go. Nope. Now it just freezes every time at the opening menu. If it decides it wants to work, then he'll revisit it, but for now, it refuses to run on his machine.
Well, I think that's like an issue with his machine. I don't think that's an issue with the game.
Yeah, because we played it, for hours, and we were fine.
Yeah, most of these reviews, people have hours and hours of gameplay. This guy has 0.5 hours on record. So I guess it really did crash on him.
I mean, and also, there's a lot of factors that go into it, so you have to take into consideration.
Hey, it didn't work for me at first, and all I had to do was flip a switch on Steam, and I was good.
Yeah. You have to take into consideration, make sure that all your computer software is up to date, make sure that Steam is up to date, make sure that your graphics driver is up to date. There's a lot of factors that can go into a game crashing, which wouldn't be the developer's fault. Just because a game is faulty doesn't mean that they served a broken game, because if that was the case, I'm pretty sure that this wouldn't be some kind of isolated incident. You'd hear more people complaining about it.
Yeah, I agree. But now that we have the ratings of our peers in the Steam community, George, it's time to say if we would play it forever or future endeavor.
I'm playing it forever.
That's it, cut and dry. You're good?
So here's my one caveat. If they add more content and it breaks, then I probably won't be as into it. But if, they keep the gameplay the way that it's been and the style and the aesthetic of the game keep going, then what's not to like about the game?
Exactly.
For the amount of sheer ridiculous that you can do with the creative suite alone, that's enough for me to want to play the game.
Yeah, so the other night, I actually just started a new franchise in NHL. And
of course you did.
Of course I did. And I picked an expansion franchise where you actually create your own team. You draft your own brand new roster. You make the logo. You make the jerseys. You make the arena. You make everything. You could make your own players and put them on your team somehow. Once I got past all of the creation, I was kind of over it. So I think there is that aspect of just the creative being part of the playability of the game that pushes it a little further.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the fun of even the 2K series now, is just going in, making your wrestler, whoever you're going to be, whether it's yourself or you're creating a new character or you're doing a E-Fed. Part of the creation process is, part of what makes the game fun.
I feel like with most games, it's just the first thing you do before you even play a game.
Yeah. So, I mean, does that mean that you're, where do you land on this game?
Well, we played a couple games. I had fun playing them, except that last one where you slaughtered me. But I think there's still a lot left to the imagination. I think they're going to add a bunch more. I think they're going to expand upon it. God knows, maybe in another 3 or 4 years, we're going to get Chikara 2. But for now, I'm saying play it forever because I want to play more and see where it goes.
I will say this, and this is, again, like I said, the caveat to I kind of want a story mode. I don't know how you do it, but I kind of wish that there was a single-player campaign and it wasn't just like you had to throw yourself into matches. Even if it's ridiculous and over the top like the old N64 games and the original PlayStation games used to be, where it's like an insane storyline that makes absolutely no sense and there's people turning other people into... What happened in one of those in the wrestling games? Didn't like Candice Michelle turn your wrestler into a female or something?
I think so.
Like, give me something like that. Like, just crazy, ridiculous, over-the-top storylines that, you know, this is a cartoony, crazy game. Give me a cartoony, crazy storyline where it pulls random characters, like the most downloaded wrestlers from their online suite and throws them into a storyline with you.
For Road to WrestleMania on Game Boy Advance, the story mode was literally just a GIF of Vince McMahon, and underneath it would be a speech bubble. They could do something like that just to advance stories, and then you go into the match. Something as simple as that.
Just something to elevate the game a little more, give it a little more replayability, because, you know, I could sit here with you for hours and play this game, and it would never get boring, but once one of us leaves, the replayability kind of goes down.
Right. I fully agree with that.
So, Clash, do you want to tell everybody what we're playing next week? Because I know that you're so excited to play this game.
Next week, we are playing Fire Pro Wrestling Returns.
Now, I said this, and I made him say this because he has not been the biggest fan of... He hasn't really been looking forward to playing this game. But... You know, it's 170-something wrestling games, and we're going to play all of them.
Yeah, okay. So to say I don't like this game, I've never really given it too much of a chance, so I'm going to go in with a clear mind. I don't know if I'm going to like this game, but we'll see.
Hey, I didn't think I was going to like Mayhem.
And Buff Bagwell convinced you otherwise.
Yeah, listen, he's buff, he's the stuff, and the girls just can't get enough. So
of Mayhem.
I couldn't argue with him. All right, well, that's going to do it for us this week on Game Marks Podcast. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Game Marks Pod. Leave us a review and a rating on iTunes, and subscribe to us wherever great podcasts can be found. We mentioned this before, but when we hit 200 followers, we'll be releasing a special bonus episode featuring some exclusive content that won't be found in a regular episode. So, you know, help us give you more content, because we like doing this podcast, and we need more reasons to give you more content, so bonus episodes. But that's going to do it for us. And as always, we like to end the podcast by asking Johnny Clash to say something stupid.
Win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat.